Hello and welcome to this fourth video on academic plans. Now, the previous video we did a comparison of the Saturn program spec pages that were used when actually creating or updating a program and where those fields sat in the academic plan table in Campus Solutions. Now we're going to look at it from the sort of the front end version of the program spec and again see where that information sits in the academic plan table or the academic program table. Okay, so we've got again the same course, Bachelor of Science with Honours Chemistry, F100. So the title, there's the title there, and in the academic plan, we go to Print Options, and we put the title into the diploma description and into the transcript description, but the transcript description has a prefix of the degree type for that plan, which is BSc Honours in Chemistry in this example. And that's used in the online inquiry form. We also, on this academic plan table tab, we have a description field. This is a 30-character limited description or version of that title. It's prefixed with the degree type, and then however many characters are left, you can use to describe the title of the plan. This won't be displayed to students, but it can be used in searching for plans in the system. Okay. F100, the course code. So here we've got the academic plan code, and that's created when we actually create the record itself, and the sort of structure of that code is covered elsewhere. You will also see that we have a short description field here, not a mandatory field, and at the moment we're using this to capture the existing Saturn code. So there's the F100. Going forwards, this will only be used for plans which are actually you actually apply to through UCAS, so have a genuine UCAS code that will go in there. Okay, school responsible for management of the course, chemistry 100%, so ownership information. In the plan table, we have an owner tab, and this is where we define our ownership. So we've got chemistry here 100%. It could be a 50-50 split, in which case you add in another row, put the other ACAD org in and set the percentage owned. Now in Saturn we have the concept of an administrative owner and contributing owners. So all the ownership is defined in this tab in the plan table, but to define the administrative owner we need to go into the parent academic program record, which I've gone into here, U1070 chemistry. That's the parent record for that BSc chemistry. And we define the ownership in the taxonomy and campus tab, and we put it in here, yeah, USC Chem, that's the administrative owner. Ignore the split ownership here. We don't have split ownership for the administrative owner, so that should never be ticked. Right, what's next? Type of course, single subject. So this field doesn't exist at the moment, but we're going to get it added in, and it will live in this common attributes tab. So common attributes are just additional fields that we can add to a record to record additional information. So we would add that in here, but it's not available at this moment in time. Okay, mode of study, full time. So if I go to the academic plan table, and I'm going to page across, and we've got this additional tab that's been added for UON called Academic Plan Extension tab. Now this is a bit of a mixture of fields used for different reasons, but you can see here we have a delivery mode and academic load. The academic load one is used to select whether it's full-time, part-time or both. And delivery mode is essentially there to capture whether it's a distance learning. The default is in person, but distance learning, okay? Then we've got course accreditation. Okay, so we're going to go to this QAA Quality and Regulations tab. There are three QAA tabs. They've been added for the UON, but we're going to this one. And here you can see we've got accreditation details where you search for and add your accreditation body, which shows the code for that body. The accreditation type, which again is a code, but it links to a proper, accreditation. And that puts the KISS code in for that accreditation. Then we've got valid to, from and to dates, and whether there's a dependency on optional course module choices within the course. So that information is all sort of captured here. QAA subject benchmarks, chemistry. We're on the same tab, QAA Quality and Regulations, and here we've got our benchmark subject information. Ignore business and management, that's an error in the development. It should say benchmark subjects. Right, educational aims, including outline description of the course, distinguishing features. So, we're still in this QAA Quality and Regulations tab, and we go right down the bottom, we will see a couple of additional buttons that take us through to additional pages. So I'm going to click on Educational Aims. So let's flick back. So these are the aims, these are the points, then we've got an outline description and distinguishing features. So the points are right down the bottom. You can add a new row for each point. You just keep clicking on the plus button to add a new row. There we've got our distinguishing features, and this is the outline description here. These other fields are also in program spec, but they're not being used for this particular program. One new field is marketing text. This is to capture information that will be used in the prospectus for that plan, which is at the moment captured after the program spec is set up, but we're trying to include it in the overall process. Okay. Supplementary regulations. Okay, so we've got admissions information here. Now this is held in, I want to cancel out, don't I? Yeah. This is held in the QAA admissions tab. There's a whole load of admissions fields that have been added, and about 90% of them are new fields that aren't in Saturn. The ones that are sit in the QAA entry requirements. So you can see here we've got IELTS, we've got plan requirements, which are the course requirements. What else did we have? These two aren't in use anymore, so those are the only two covered. There are additional fields, and they were more properly covered in the previous video. Then we've got our course structure. Yeah, so what modules students do in which year, and additional module information. Now that information is not captured in the academic plan. That's held in a separate area called, what's it called again? Program enrollment. And program enrollment sits in curriculum management, academic item registry, and we have different pages here to define that course structure, but that's a whole different area now. It's a big task now to set that course structure up, because it's going to be used to drive online module enrollment, and so it has a whole load of information and parameters, etc. attached to it. Okay, so we can't cover that here. That will be in separate videos. Okay, then we've got assessment information. So we've got progression information that's been put in here, course weightings and degree calculation model. So let's see where these all sit. So we don't want QAA admissions. We go back to QAA quality and regulations. We go down the bottom. So here we can see we've got course weightings. This is where these are added in. And we've got the degree calculation model, arithmetic mean, and you can put notes in. To access the other assessment information, we go right to the bottom. There's educational aims. So we click on supplementary regulations. Let's pick a field from here. So we've got progression information. So that would go into this field here, assessment progression regulations. The other fields here all match up with Saturn fields except a few. Assessment marking criteria, these are, and marking criteria URL. This is additional information we can use to record obviously what the marking criteria is, and put a URL to link to a Nottingham page that provides more information on that. Borderline criteria, if there's any exceptions to borderline criteria from the norm, we can select that and put information in here. And then we've got something here called notwithstanding regulations, which, if I'm honest, I'm not sure what it's for, but it's been requested by the curriculum team to be used going forwards. Okay, so that's our progression information. And then we've got other regulations down here, which sits in, I think, other regulations, goes in this field in this same supplementary regulations tab. And when we look at this, so you think, hold on, this isn't rich text and all that. Well, if you click on this, you see that it is rich text, and you've got a range of sort of formatting options here that you can use. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, we've got learning outcomes. So learning outcomes, we've got the different types here, the 4 different types, and then we've got some summary information at the bottom. So, academic plan. Let's cancel out this. Go to the top, go to the QAA Learning Outcomes tab. We go down. So here, this is where we record our different learning outcome points. It's done by type, so rather than having a separate section, we have one section. We add a new row for each type. So just to show you, I'll click back. I've got my first row here, transferable skills. I can put my learning outcomes in, and we've got our sort of summary information here. I'll click through. Now I've got my knowledge and understanding, and I do the same thing. Click through again, I've got transferable skills again, but that could be intellectual skills. So that's kind of how it works here. You don't have separate sections on the page. It's one section, but you add a new row for each skill area or learning outcome area, and you populate the same fields here. Okay, so that covers, I think, all the information that we get in the current program spec and where that lives in the academic plan table.